Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Broad Podcaster with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Llano Lakes, joined once more by Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. It is a beautiful day in Central Texas, and that has compelled people to come out and work on their lawns. So if you hear some background noise, our sincerest apologies, but as we all know, in Texas, the weather can change in the blink of an eye. So, with that said, Art, on Thursday night, we're not going to have to worry about anybody mowing the grass at Rattler Stadium because it's artificial turf. That's the site of the Llano Edna fourth round playoff game, 7 o'clock kickoff. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here.
It's all right.
But I can't think of another transition other than to throw you the ball.
Well, it's fourth round or it's the region finals. The UIL likes to call it just regionals for some reason, but this is for the Region 4 championship. And Edna is an outstanding team, has been the last 2 or 3 years, and outstanding is the word that Llano head coach Matt Green has used to describe the Cowboys. I think we're both hopeful, being Llano fans, that Blanco getting 22 points on Edna last week, losing 36-22, is a sign that the Jackets, with their high-powered run game and passing game, can score on Edna. We certainly hope so. It might be a game where both teams are scoring a lot. Certainly each round should be getting better, and I think better opponents, and I think this is certainly that. Both teams ranked rather high in the state and very high in the region, and so it hopefully, as we always say, it should be a good one.
Yeah, you and I talked about this briefly on the ride back or over the weekend. I had mentioned to you that I thought the Edna-Llano contest was the one that most Region Division I Class 3A insiders thought the regional championship would come down to these two teams back in August. You mentioned that locally, because of the Blanco's location and how close Blanco County is to Llano and Burnett County, that would have been a more intriguing matchup. And I think that would have brought more of the Burnett County fans because so many of the locals know each other in those three counties.
I think it was a surprise that Burnett got to the that Blanco got to the third round, and so they did well for themselves. Congratulations to the Panthers and the coaching staff and the school. I thought that was good that they, as I say, won a couple of rounds. That's impressive. But they just were not going to be a strong match for Edna. And we certainly hope that Llano is. After a fantastic second half and beating Industrial 42-17, coming out of a 14-14 deadlock at the break. It was funny that Coach Matt Green, the Jackets won the coin toss, and he told the captains to defer. First time all year that he's done that. I've needled him some during the week that it'd be nice to defer and then have that ball in the third quarter. He says, no, I want to have it first and have it one more time in the first half. So he defers, and 42 seconds after that coin hit the turf, Industrial, the Cobras, were up 7-0. A great kickoff return, a couple of more plays, they're in the end zone. But with 11 minutes and 18 seconds to go in the first quarter till the end of the game, Industrial scored just one more TD and a field goal. And as I say, Llano came out in the second half with 28 points. Ryan Breen, the offensive coordinator and assistant head coach, said he thought that was good because Llano had not played great second halves this year. I said, not played great second halves. You're not allowed to play the fourth quarter because Coach Green refuses to run the score up. So the second half mainly consisted of the starters playing the third period. Not all the time, but most of the time. But boy, that second half at Hero Stadium in San Antonio was just a thing of beauty for the Jackets. Some of the stats, and I can give so many, as I say every week. Briggs Green, who threw 3 touchdown passes, has now thrown 30 for the season. That is second most ever in one season for a Jacket quarterback, and the 30 is fourth in career, and his career totals 13 games. So you know how good that is. He's also sixth career with 2,260 yards, and that's third for a season. Jackson Dillard, his 17 touchdown catches, he had 2 in the game against the Cobras, and he is tied for first with the great Quincy Prince for touchdown receptions in 1 year. His 882 yards is good for third for a career. Carson Kirkendall, 1,773 yards. That is fourth rushing total for a season. And his 2,760 yards for a career is fifth. Here's the best stat of all, is that he has 42 touchdowns in his 2 years, which is a career. And guess who he's tied with for third most in Llano history?
Shane.
Case Kirkendall.
Case. Wow.
So the Kirkendall brothers are even at 42. The Jackets will become the first team in history, school history, to total more than 6,000 yards when they gain just 75 yards, and we hope they gain a lot more against Edna. So you know how outstanding that is. Second most in points for a year with 504. Must mention that Isaiah Bush came up with 3 picks against Industrial, and that was part of the great defensive effort. That ties him for third in a game. Ulysses Martinez has done that. He is also tied for third, I should say, with his 7 interceptions for the season. Braden Hatfield has intercepted 3 in 1 game. So those are most of the stats. Many of the stats I could give you. Matt Green has now won 10 playoff games in Llano in 6 years, and that is a record. And the Jackets have won 21 playoff games, so Coach Green has won just about half of those. He is 10-5 for the postseason. So it's just been an outstanding year, 13-0 for the second time in 3 years. And Llano has won 34 of its last 38 games.
In Texas Chalk Talk, the website for all of your local high school sports, I wrote up the game story for the Vanderbilt Industrial Llano game. But if you read my 10 insights, there is a key point in both games where this game was won and lost. Art mentioned the 14-14 tie. When Llano came back out to take the second half kickoff, they kicked the ball to Miguel Hernandez, who ran it back 65 yards and got tackled at about the Industrial 28-yard line. And you mentioned Briggs Green. That's when he found Jackson Dillard, who was falling backward and caught the ball on his back, I think, on the 2-yard line. Carson later scores on that. Then, on the ensuing kickoff, the Yellow Jackets recovered that. I didn't see it. I was looking down trying to figure something out on stats, but you saw it. Can you describe what you saw from the booth?
From a recovery of a fumble?
A recovery of the Pooch onside kick.
Oh, yes. Llano has done that twice this season. And I asked Coach Green, haven't gotten an answer, whether the Pooch kick was also a Pooch onside kick. Certainly looked like it. And they bobbled that ball terribly. The Cobras did. And Llano got it around the 30 or the 35. You know, Ross Prokop had a touchdown catch, which sticks in my mind as really a game changer.
Yeah.
In that second half.
Well, and that was the next play.
Okay.
Because here's the point, folks. Championship coaches will tell you the three most important drives to any game are the opening drives of each half and the last drive of the second quarter. The Jackets did not score on the opening drive of the first quarter. And they had to punt, and then they came back and scored and tied, I think, on the second or third possession. But they scored on the very first possession of the third quarter. They get that ball right back, and in the blink of an eye, they're down and they score again. I think that was Ross Prokop's catch in the end zone at that point. And just like that, Llano has a 2-touchdown cushion. And then the third most important play, when the Cobras finally get the ball, their outstanding sophomore running back runs for 55 yards, and it looks like he's about to score, and Ulysses Martinez gets him from behind and tackles him on the 2-yard line for first and goal. The Jackets hold and force a field goal. According to Matt Green, he felt that that series of plays were the most important of that ball game, and that's what led to the win, because the Cobras simply deflated at that point, and Llano found another gear. They were so sharp in that second half, and the Cobras simply couldn't keep up with them.
And Carson Kirkendall would come up with a 48-yard run for a TD, and he was having what you would call trouble for Carson most of the day, even though it would have been a 100-yard plus day, but he was struggling for 4 and 5 yards, and sometimes it's really deceptive how valuable 4 and 5 yards can be when for another running back it might just be 2 yards. But it was just a tough defensive line that the Cobras were showing, and the Jackets are going to need a lot of Carson and a lot of Briggs Green on Thursday night for sure.
Edna against Blanco, as Art mentioned, they beat Blanco 36-22. Edna had 36 rushes for 315 yards. Their big running back is Rodas. He had 11 rushes for, it looks like for more than 180 yards with 2 touchdowns. Their quarterback had 13 rushes for 49 yards and 2 scores. He also completed 6 of 9 passes for 133 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception.
Is the quarterback Clay?
Clay.
Yes, okay.
So,
well, yes, my goodness, 300 and something yards.
315.
On 39 rushes?
36.
That's like it's coming close to 10 yards a carry. That's outstanding.
Yeah, so I will be curious to see what those linebackers and the defensive staff can come up with to contain this Edna attack. On the flip side, Blanco had 29 rushes for 64 yards, completed 17 of 38 passes for 239 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
That's good. The rushing is not good, but the passing by Anderson, that's fine.
Okay. We're going to close this segment out. When we come back, we're going to talk about Smoking for Jesus and what happened in their playoff game. Once again, for all of your local Highland Lake sports news, please go to TexasChalkTalk.com, and please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel.